Hello friends, today's topic is what is communalism? What are causes for the genesis and the growth of communalism in India? My lesson plan includes why it is in the news, what is communalism, what are the causes for the growth of communalism in India, how to mitigate the incidents of communalism in India, way forward, and finally conclusion. Friends, as you know that Nagpur, the city of Maharashtra, witnessed a communal flare-up on 17th March, whereby more than 60 vehicles were either torched or vandalized. The Hindu right-wing protesters gathered at Mahal area of Nagpur and they protested and demanded the demolition of the tomb of Aurangzeb. As you know that Emperor Aurangzeb had been accused of being a religious bigot who always tried to persecute Hindus. In 17th and 18th century AD, the protesters burned the effigy of Emperor Aurangzeb draped in green cloth. But rumor was afloat that the green cloth had been engraved with Quranic verses. This misinformation was very much amplified by social media. The immediate cause for the protest by right-wing Hindus was the release of film Chhawa, in which the Emperor Aurangzeb was shown torturing and killing Sambhaji Maharaj, the son of great Maratha king Shivaji Maharaj. The police so far took 84 people under its custody. It is reported that Nagpur is now turning towards normalcy. However, still large contingents of police force are deployed in different parts of Nagpur city. Now friends, what is communalism? Communalism believes that people belonging to a religious denomination have common social, economic and political interests superseding the interest of other religious communities, thereby fetching maximum benefits to the exclusion of other communities. Thus, communalism divides society and creates conflicts among different religious groups. Thus, communalism gives priority over religious identity than national unity. It creates religious polarization, political manipulation for fetching votes of a particular religious community. It labels minority Muslims as anti-nationals and majority Hindus as oppressors. It fails to separate religion from politics. Thus, it tries to govern the country on the basis of religious dogma. In the extreme case, communalism tries to establish government for its religious community and seeks to raise to a status of sovereign state. For example, majority Hindus clamor for Hindu Rashtra in India. There are three types of communalism in India. First, assimilative communalism, whereby majority religious community tries to impose its culture upon minority religious community. Secondly, aggressive communalism means that the majority Hindus tries to assert its religious identity aggressively or violently over minority Muslim religious community. For example, mob lynching or hate speeches, reduction of political participation of minority Muslim communities by not giving tickets during general election. The third variant is minority separatism, whereby minority religious communities demand separate homeland. For example, Khalistanis demanded independent and separate Khalistan for themselves. Different extremist groups in Jammu and Kashmir also demanded separate Jammu and Kashmir or merging it with Pakistan. Now friends, what are the genesis and growth of communalism in India? The growth of communalism in India can be traced from 1857 revolt. Friends, as you know that during the War of Independence in 1857, both Hindus and Muslims fought together, although they were defeated, but the kind of unity they posed before the British imperialists was unparalleled in the history of India. And according to Lord Canning, if Scindias had supported the mutineers or revolutionaries, Britishers would have to leave India then and there. It was found by Britishers that the revolt was the handiwork of Muslim princely estates, zamindars and talukdars, and so the British imperialists took revenge upon them by confiscating their zamindari and distributing those lands among peasants. The British government tried to crush Muslims in all possible manners, so much so that the Muslim community lagged far behind Hindus in matters relating to employment and education opportunities. And so by 1890, Hindus were far more educated and have greater employment share in the government than the Muslim communities. And so from 1890s onward, Britishers wanted to push Muslim zamindars, princely estates, because Hindus had become more demanding. And as you know that after the establishment of Congress in 1885, they started negotiating with the British government and wanted more concessions for Indians in the employment, in education, and they also made threadbare analysis of the British imperialism and invented the theory of drain of wealth, thereby exposing the real nature of British imperialism. The British government became very much aghast with the demands of Congress, and so it brought Muslim League as a political organization as a counterweight against Congress. It provoked Nawab of Dhaka, Aga Khan, to establish Muslim League to protect the interest of Muslims. And in 1909 Morley-Minto Act, the Britishers provided separate electorates for Muslims. In 1919 Act, separate electorates were extended to 6 Europeans and Anglo-Christians. In 1932, the communal award was provided by the Britishers to wedge the gap between Dalits and high caste Hindus, but this ploy of Britishers to divide was very much foiled by Gandhiji under Pune Pact with Dr. Ambedkar. The partition of India left a permanent scar between Hindus and Muslims. Friends, as you know that during partition, the communal flair was very much surcharged, so much so that more than 10 lakh Hindus were killed. More than 60 lakh Hindus had to be rehabilitated. They had to flee from western and eastern Pakistan. More than 1 lakh women were raped. These gory incidents created a permanent divide between Hindus and Muslim communities. Personal laws on religious matters further accentuated the religious divide between Hindus and Muslims. Friends, as you know that in matters relating to criminal laws, both Hindus, Muslims and other religious communities are guided identically. But in matters of personal laws, they are governed by their separate religious rules and laws. Government of India is yet to implement uniform civil code for all religious denominations according to 44 of our constitution. Similarly, the demolition of Babri Masjid in 1992 further accentuated the divide between Hindus and Muslims, causing communal flare-ups. far and wide in India and other neighboring countries. In the independent India, while Congress has been accused of minority appeasement, the BJP is being accused for Hindutva philosophy, whereby it doesn't recognize Muslims and Christians as the citizen of India. That party treats these minority communities as foreigners. Thus, Hindutva philosophy of BJP and the minority appeasement of Congress are meant to garner votes of majority Hindus and minority Muslims respectively. Friends, according to Sachar Committee report in 2006, Muslims are very much backward and lagging behind in matters relating to education, employment and political participation. There is acute unemployment among Muslim youths because of the fear of the Hindu majority. They live in the segregated areas of cities. This kind of ghettoization tendency among Muslims leads further segregation between both religious denominations. Fake news and a spread of misinformation, as we have seen in the recent Nagpur communal rights, the weak implementation of laws, delayed trial of communal rights are other important causes for the outbreak of communalism in India. Large-scale conversions of Hindus by Christian missionaries and Muslim theologians is another cause for the rising communalism in India. Similarly, subversion of secularism by a few political parties further encourages communalism. Now the question is how to mitigate the frequency of communalism in India. Number one, to strengthen secular ethos in our body politics. Secondly, equal treatment to all, irrespective of their religious affiliations. No conversion of Hindus should be allowed by Christian missionaries and Muslim theologians in normal situations. There must be a stoppage upon proselytizing activities, promoting interfaith education, highlighting shared heritage of India in the textbooks of schools, banning political parties which promote hatred and communalism. Electoral reforms is must to stop identity politics, to ensure equitable development and growth of all religious communities, to encourage interaction among all religious communities through cultural programs, seminars and symposia, a strict enforcement of anti-communal rights, a speedy trials of cases relating to communal violence. A mechanism should be developed to counter fake news and misinformation through social media. A strict penalties should be awarded upon those who provoke hate speech. Setting up of peace committees in right-torn areas to bring normalcy. Heavy deployment of security forces in right-prone areas and speedy work for the rehabilitation of those people who have been affected by communal rights. Now friends, what are ways forward? Number one, focus should be on the inclusive growth of all religious denominations. Encouragement to secular values and ethos among younger generations of all religious communities. Promotion of interfaith dialogue. Stress should be upon the diversity of India as a strength rather than as a weakness. Adequate political participation of minorities in proportion of their population. So friends, now I conclude. Communalism is a cancer to the Indian body politic and is a threat to national integration. Combating communalism requires proactive policing, strong institutions, inclusive growth, proportional representation of all religious denominations and collective societal efforts. It should be noted that communalism thrives when religious differences are politicized by different political parties to garner votes in the election. And so friends, communalism and democracy cannot thrive together. if you want to have a strong democracy in India, we will have to mitigate the virus of communalism forever. So friends, now I have concluded my lecture. If you have any suggestion, please share with me. Just write your feedback on my YouTube channel AJIS Academy Indore. I shall be very much grateful to you. Thank you very much.